What's up everyone, Derek Rosansky here, your obstacle activist, and on this channel I do OCR race reviews, tutorials, and product reviews just like this one, so if you're new here, consider subscribing. So last week I had my first shoe review and I did a review on the Ultra Superior 4.0s, and I had a ton of comments asking me about the Altra King line. Good news for you guys is that I bought a pair of Altra Kings this season and I have been racing them now for probably about a month or two. Gotten plenty of distance in them to do my review here for you today of the Kings 1.5. Now, just like any other Ultra shoe and just like the Superior 4.0s, the Kings do have a wide toe box here, following suit with all their other Ultra shoes. They give that natural toe splay. It's something that Ultra is known for, as well as zero drop. Now, zero drop is the same stack height from heel to toe. You're on the same plane, gives for a more natural running mechanics and turns a heel striker into a forefoot striker, which is what you predominantly want to be as a runner. Now, other than their wide toe box and their zero drop format, this isn't really like any other Ultra shoe that you may have seen before in the past. Now, this is the predecessor of the King 1.0s, but the King line itself is a completely different shoe and revamp for Ultra, and it's a whole new line for them. The reason why I say that is because all their other shoes have either been for road or trail. This is their first OCR specific shoe that they've ever made, just a little bit newer version of it. The stack height on this shoe itself is 19mm stack height. It does have the Ultra Ego midsole, which is the same midsole that you'd find in their Escalante line, which is their road shoe, as well as the Superior 4.0, although the Superior 4.0 has a little bit different of a midsole. If you want to know more about that, just go ahead and watch the video. I'll link that down below for my review there. But other than that, it's pretty much the same midsole that are in those two shoes and pretty much what they've been predominantly using now for all their shoes moving forward, at least from what I've seen. And for good reason. It's a really good midsole, nice plush bouncy ride, and it's very responsive. So speaking of the insole itself does have a built-in stone plate or stone guard, which is something that Ultra's kind of done differently from shoe to shoe and line to line with all of their products. Some have insertable stone guards, other ones like the King here have it built into the midsole, so you don't really have the option to take one in or out. It is just built into the shoe. But for something like a sport like OCR where you're running over very treacherous terrain, very technical terrain, I think it's pretty much a no-brainer to put one in the shoe and just have it there. So from the midsole down, flipping the shoe over, you have the tread. Now, this is pretty much where all the magic of this shoe happens, or at least in my opinion. It's a very aggressive lug pattern. That coupled with the Vibram Mega Grip compound just makes this shoe a grip machine. Now, they're 6mm lugs, so they're definitely not something to toy around with. These things will eat and chew through any type of mud you throw at it, and will just keep asking and begging for more. I mean, these are some of the grippiest shoes, if not the grippiest shoes I have ever worn, and I've worn everything from Ultra here to Innovate to Icebug to Merrill to Salomon, you name it, I've probably worn it, and these are probably my most favorite lug pattern and grip that I've ever worn on a shoe. And with a name like Vibram, I mean, that's kind of what you expect at this point. I mean, they're known for their stickiness, both wet and dry. These things will stick to pretty much everything. Not only that, but they don't really hold the mud either, which is another good thing. I mean, I've had shoes that grip really well, but they just get caked in mud and they will not come off. So, I mean, to have a shoe that is that grippy, that sticky, but also keeps the mud out of them, it's pretty unreal, and I give it an A+ on that. Flipping the shoe back over here to the upper, you'll see that it is a reinforced mesh upper that also has something a little bit different that most shoes don't have, and that would be the little Velcro here. I like to call it the old man Velcro. Looks like an old pair of Skechers or something, but it actually does serve a purpose. Now, the Velcro here is basically to take your laces and tuck them away, because if you ever run an OCR, and if you haven't, well, welcome to sport, but if you haven't ever run an OCR, you'll know that when your shoes get caked in mud and things, your laces come undone, you trip over them, they get in the way, and basically this Velcro hides your laces so that they don't come undone, they stay locked in. It's pretty much to replace those people that duct tape their shoes. This kind of just does that for you. Not only that, but it does give you a little bit more of a lockdown and secure feeling around your forefoot, which I personally enjoy in a shoe. So that's just a little bit of an added bonus to that. So yeah, it may look a little weird, but very useful, very simple design, but pretty brilliant because no other shoe is really doing this. Going more toward the front of the shoe here, you'll see around the front of the toe guard, you actually have cutouts of the front toe guard. Now those are actually used for drainage. The upper is very, very breathable, so it dries very quickly, and those cutouts up front are basically to be used for drainage ports, so that way when you're going through water obstacles and river crossings, those type of things, the water's gonna drain out of the shoe surprisingly well, and the upper is probably one of the more faster drying uppers that I've ever had in a shoe. So all around, I mean, it dries substantially faster than what you'd think it would. Going back to the back heel of the shoe, just like any other Altra, they do have their Gaiter trap system, which has the Velcro in the back, as well as a loop in the front to attach their gaiters. Basically, it's just a strapless gaiter. And what the gaiters do is keep dirt and debris out of your shoes when you're running. I personally don't use them, but for those who do, they say they're great, and I'm just gonna trust them on that one. Going back to the heel of the shoe itself, inside of the shoe is actually a really cool material. Now it's kind of hard to show on a video, but basically the back part of the heel has material, I'm not really sure what it is. It's kind of like a neoprene material, but it allows your foot to slide in smoothly, but when you go to pull it out, it catches, and kind of like how a porcupine's needle can go into something real easily, but when you go to pull it out, it has like the jagged edges facing the opposite direction. The material on the back of the heel here is pretty similar to that, so when you slide your foot in, it's very easy to slide in, but when you go to pull it out, it catches, and basically that is to keep your heel locked in the shoe when you're running. That way you're not having any heel slippage, and it works pretty well. So that's something that's a really cool feature on this shoe that I haven't seen on anything else, and definitely worth checking out. The last part of the upper then on the side here, I don't know if this is what it's actually for, but it's what I've pretty much drawn my conclusion to be what it's for, is on the side of the shoe here is pretty much a rope guard, so that when you're climbing a rope, it kind of protects the side of the shoe. That way you're not getting blowouts on the side of your shoe, or that it's not damaging the side of your shoe. It's just a nice little feature. Not something that's necessary, but it's nice, especially in OCR when you are climbing ropes pretty often. So the last part of the shoe here is the 6mm contour footbed. Now just something to keep in mind, consider that these are actually glued into the shoe. I ripped mine out because I personally take these out when I clean my shoe, especially in a sport like OCR where you're getting so much dirt, mud, and sand down in your shoes. I think it's kind of a necessity to be able to take these out to properly clean your shoes. So not really sure why they glued them in, but just keep that in mind. I did forcibly take mine out, which I don't know if you can see, but kind of took a little bit of the shoe there with it. So yeah, they are glued in. Not really sure why, but that's part of the shoe. So here on this channel, I grade my shoes on 5 major criteria, and I grade them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, and then give an overall score out of 50. So the first category is durability. Now, is this shoe, the Altra King's 1.5, durable? So the upper is supposed to be a tear resistant, or at least so they say, tear resistant mesh reinforced upper. Tear resistant, resistant to holes. I've got a mixed bag of these. I mean, my pairs you can see here are perfect in pristine condition. I've only run 3 races in them though, and some training runs. Again, I don't have any holes in mine, but I've had friends who have had holes in theirs within 2 races. I've had friends that have raced an entire season and then got holes. I've had friends that have raced in these and have no holes. So in terms of durability, just because it does have some of those issues on some of the shoes, again, not all, but gotta take that into consideration. So I am gonna have to deduct a little bit of points there and give it a 7.5 out of 10 on the durability, just because of that little bit of a hole problem. That being said, anytime you get any hole or anything in your shoe, I am told that if you contact Altra, they have been good in sending out new pairs to those individuals who have had these issues. So good on Altra's customer service there, and I am told that they are looking to fix this on their 2.0s coming out later this fall. Now, the second category that I like to grade shoes on is grip. In OCR, grip is pretty important and is key to doing well in pretty much any race. So you need to have good grip on your feet, on the course, in order to do well and to go through any course. And boy, do these things deliver. I mean, 6mm lugs, the Vibram Mega Grip Compound, you can't really get much better than that. These things stick when it's wet, when it's dry, they don't hold mud. And I mean, I've never really come across any shoe that grips better than these. I'm just gonna say, I mean, these are outright a 10 out of 10 on grip. So, sorry VJ shoes, but best grip on the planet. Disclaimer, I have not tried VJ shoes. Those are next. So the third category that I like to grade shoes on is drainage and how quickly they dry. In OCR, you're going through water obstacles, creeks, river crossings, swims, everything in between, and you need a shoe that is not gonna carry all that water weight along with you through the course. So it's pretty important, and on these shoes, they do a pretty good job of that. I mean, yeah, they don't have true holes up front, but they do have the cutouts with the mesh reinforced upper there to kind of push the water to the toes and out of the shoe. And this is by far the fastest drying upper that I've ever used in a shoe. And for that purpose, I'm gonna have to give it an 8.10. Wow, 8.10. An 8.5 out of 10 on drainage. And the fourth thing that I like to grade shoes on is just the overall design of the shoe itself. And that's everything from the color options they give you to how they laid out the shoe, what they put on the shoe, and just pretty much all of the shoe encompassing itself. Now, they've done everything from OCR specific things like add the Velcro here to cover up the laces, the drainage ports up front, the extremely aggressive tread, and I mean, honestly, I can't really find anything to nitpick about the design of this shoe. I mean, I love basically everything on this shoe. For that reason, I'm gonna have to give it a 9.5 out of 10, and the only reason why I'm not giving it a 10 is it's, for me anyway, really, really hard to get a perfect 10 out of 10. I'm sure they could add something different, like added extra drainage port or two, but other than that, it's darn near perfect. So a 9.5 out of 10 on the design. Last but not least is the price of the shoe, because again, what good is a shoe if you can't afford it? Now, at the time of this video, the Kings go from anywhere from $85 up to $140, depending on the size of the shoe as well as the color options. It's kind of a weird time right now because they're dropping the King 2.0s later this fall. So it's honestly pretty hard to do a price comparison right now, but I'm just gonna go ahead and judge it off of their initial launch price of $140. And for that price point, it's not the very high end of the spectrum, but it's definitely not the low end of the spectrum either. So they are a little bit expensive, and I'm gonna have to give it a 6.5 out of 10 there on the price. I think they could do a little better. It's pretty pricey, but again, you get what you pay for, and you get a lot with this shoe. So all in all, for the Altra King 1.5s, it's gonna get an overall score of 42 out of 50. Who should buy the shoe, and should you buy the shoe? The answer is yes. Yes, you should buy the shoe. I know I said last week that the Superior 4.0s were my go-to shoe, and they still are. I mean, they're my go-to shoe for any type of trail running or trail racing, but if I'm going strictly OCR, pure mud, dirt, grit, these are my new go-tos. I mean, these things can go through and compete in anything. So there you have, guys, that is my review of the Altra King 1.5s. If you're in the market for new shoes, or if you're just a beginner to the sport in OCR and you're looking at shoes and your first pair, this is definitely a good place to start, whether you're a beginner or veteran. You can't really go wrong with these shoes. Definitely worth a look at, and you'll get your money's worth. If you would like to purchase these shoes, I will leave a link down in the description below here for you. If there's a shoe review that you want me to do in the future, let me know. Also leave a comment down below. I have a lot of shoes that I've run in the past, but if it's a pair that I don't currently have, I'll do my best to get hands on it and give an honest review for you. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.